to the very first episode of our podcast dedicated to travelers and fans of Korea. Hi, my name is Jody and I'll be hosting this podcast. In the first part, the content of the episode will be introduced, and in the second part, which will follow soon, the two freelance reporters will have a conversation in a dialogue format. A country where tradition meets trend and ancient palaces coexist with neon-lit streets. In recent years, Korea has captured the hearts of people around the world, thanks to the global explosion of K-pop, Korean dramas, award-winning films, and the soaring popularity of K-beauty and cuisine. And now, more than ever, many Americans are eager to experience Korea firsthand. In this debut episode, we begin by sharing the purpose of this podcast, to serve as your friendly, informative companion as you explore the idea of visiting Korea. Whether you're a first-time traveler or a returning visitor, this podcast aims to offer helpful insights, tips, and recommendations on how to make your trip memorable, smooth, and immersive. We recognize that while K-culture has reached global fame, many fans are still unsure about the practical side of traveling to Korea. What should they pack? How do they navigate transportation? What kind of budget do they need? Are there cultural customs they should know? This podcast will break all of that down in easy-to-follow episodes. In the second half of this episode, we turn our focus to what you need to prepare before your trip. Passport and visa. U.S. citizens can visit Korea without a visa for up to 90 days, but starting in recent years, visitors need to apply for a KETA, Korea Electronic Travel Authorization, online before departure. Flight booking tips. We'll share advice on the best times to visit Korea and how to find budget-friendly flights from the U.S., especially from major hubs like LAX, JFK, and SEA. Currency and mobile services. Understanding the Korean won and the easiest ways to exchange or withdraw money. Plus, tips on mobile SIM cards, Wi-Fi egg rentals, and how to stay connected throughout your trip. Accommodations, an overview of popular options, from luxury hotels in Seoul to guest houses in Jeju, and how to use apps like Airbnb or Agoda. Language and apps. You don't need to be fluent in Korean to enjoy your stay. Learn a few helpful phrases and which apps can help you with translation, navigation, and even restaurant recommendations. Health and safety. Korea is one of the safest countries to visit, but we'll also explain what to do in case of emergencies and how to use Korea's world-class healthcare system if needed. By the end of this episode, you'll feel more confident and excited about planning your Korean adventure. This podcast is more than a guide, it's your travel companion into a vibrant culture that continues to inspire the world. So get ready, because your K-trip starts here. Don't forget to subscribe, and in the next episode, we'll explore the must-visit destinations in Seoul, from Gyeongbokgung Palace to the hidden gems of Hongdae.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're digging into some really practical notes from someone's recent trip to Korea. It's all about those key tips, especially for overseas visitors.
That's right. We've got this detailed account, basically their experiences, and we're pulling out the best bits.
Yeah, this isn't just a travel diary. It's got some serious, money-saving insights, things they learned on the ground.
Exactly. So the mission today is to help you navigate Korea a bit more smoothly. We're talking shopping, getting around, hotels.
And even handling those, unexpected hiccups. All based on this source material.
We want to make sure you can maybe save some money and avoid some common issues.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, something that really jumped out at me from their notes, tax-free shopping.
Ah, yes, the VAT refund. It's fundamental for visitors.
It sounds like it's potentially quite significant, not just a few one here and there.
It really can be. The basic idea is you're taking goods out of Korea, so you get the value-added tax back.
Right. And who exactly qualifies? Is it just foreign tourists?
Well, mostly yes. But the source mentions something interesting. It can also apply to Koreans who actually lives overseas for 2 years or more. So broader than you might think.
Okay, good to know. But the big question is, how much are we really talking? They had a specific example, didn't they?
They did. And it was pretty eye-opening. In 1 year, they apparently got back around 110,000 Korean won just through airport refunds.
Wow, 110,001 just by, like, keeping track of receipts.
Pretty much. And then the next year, they mostly used the immediate refund method, which we'll get to. They said they only had, like, one small receipt left to claim at the airport. It shows the potential savings.
Okay, that definitely makes it worth paying attention to. So where can you actually do this tax-free thing?
Lots of places, it turns out. Your big department stores, obviously. Touristy market areas like Dongdaemun, Itaewon.
Makes sense.
But also, critically, everyday chain stores. Think Olive Young for cosmetics or Daiso for, well, pretty much anything.
Ah, yeah, Daiso's got everything.
Right. And they even mentioned some perhaps surprising places like certain plastic surgery clinics. Even some hotels might offer it.
So the key is just to look for the sign or ask.
Absolutely. Always check if they offer tax-free. Don't assume.
Okay, so how does it actually work? Their notes mentioned two main ways, right? One seemed way easier.
Exactly. The easiest is the immediate refund. You find a participating store. Olive Young was their go-to example.
Right.
You just show your passport when you pay, and bam, they deduct the tax right there at the till. You pay the lower price instantly.
That sounds fantastic, super convenient, no messing around at the airport for those purchases.
Zero hassle for those ones. It's great.
But, you know, some people might not want to carry their passport everywhere, or what if a store doesn't do the immediate refund?
Good point. That's where the second method comes in, the airport refund.
Okay.
For this, you have to ask for a special tax-free receipt when you buy your items. It's different from your standard till receipt. Very important.
Got it. A specific tax-free receipt. So you collect these throughout your trip. Then what?
Then, when you get to the airport, and this is crucial, before you go through security and immigration,
Okay, before.
you find one of the tax-free kiosk machines. You scan your passport, then you scan each of those special receipts.
Right. Let the machine do its thing.
Exactly. Then, after you've cleared security and immigration, you go to a designated counter or desk, and that's where you get your actual refund.
How do they give it to you? Cash. Card.
Usually you have a choice. Cash is common, often in one, but sometimes they can credit it back to your card too.
It sounds like a few extra steps, definitely more involved than the immediate refund.
It is a bit more legwork.
But hearing that 110,001 figure, it makes you think, okay, maybe it's worth the effort if you can't get the immediate discount.
Definitely. And their point about only having one receipt left the second year really shows how much you can handle up front with the immediate system if you're aware of it.
So, lesson learned. Always ask about tax-free, carry your passport if you're comfortable for immediate refunds, or diligently collect those special receipts.
Basically free money if you're eligible. Don't miss out.
All right, moving on from shopping savings to actually getting around the city, taxis came up in the notes, and apparently fares have gone up recently.
They have, yeah. The source noted that. And it's not just the base fare you need to watch.
Oh, what else?
The surcharge system, they mentioned Haljum. Basically, late night fees.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
When does that start?
It kicks in from 10 p.m., apparently. And the surcharge increases the later it gets, potentially adding like 20% or even up to 40% onto the regular fare in the wee hours.
Ouch. So late nights out could get pricey in a cab.
Definitely something to factor in.
Uh-huh.
And another big thing they found, just trying to hail an empty taxi on the street, much harder now.
Really? Why is that?
Well, like a lot of cities globally, most taxis are now booked through ride-hailing apps. Drivers are responding to app requests, not just cruising for fares as much.
Okay, so that brings up the obvious question for a visitor. Which app should you use?
Right. The source mentioned Kakao Taxi as like the main one everyone in Korea uses. It's dominant.
But did they have trouble with it?
They did, actually. They seemed to hit a wall, possibly because of issues verifying their overseas phone number or account. It can be a hurdle for international visitors.
Okay, so if Kakao Taxi is proving difficult, what's the alternative? They found something that worked really well, didn't they?
Yes. This was a key practical tip. They ended up using a service called UT.
UT. Never heard of it.
Well, it's actually a partnership between Uber and Tmap, which is a popular Korean navigation service.
Ah, Uber. Okay, that's interesting.
And here's the really neat part for travelers. If you already have the Uber app on your phone.
Which many international travelers would.
Exactly. When you open the Uber app in Korea, it automatically functions as the UT app. It just switches over.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you don't need to download a whole new app if you're already an Uber user.
Nope. Super convenient. But here's the interesting thing from the source's experience.
What's that?
Their perception of UT changed dramatically between visits. They said on a previous trip, trying to get a taxi via UT was, like, really frustrating.
How so?
They felt maybe only 1 in 10 attempts actually got them a ride. It seemed like maybe not many drivers were actively using it back then.
Okay, so not very reliable previously.
But on this most recent trip, a completely different story. They described the service as massively improved.
Really?
Yeah, they were saying they could get a ride almost instantly. Taxis arriving within like 3 or 4 minutes became the norm. It felt almost guaranteed.
Wow, that's a huge turnaround. So UT, accessed via your existing Uber app, is now a really solid, reliable option, especially if you hit snags with Kakao Taxi.
It seems so, based on their experience. A very viable alternative. Knowing your Uber app just works is a big plus.
Definitely takes some stress out of figuring out transport.
Okay, so you've shopped tax-free, you've hailed your UT taxi. Now, where to stay? Right, accommodation. The source gave a detailed example of their stay at a 4 Points hotel.
And they highlighted using a loyalty program, right? Marriott Bonvoy.
Exactly. And this is a great point for anyone who travels even semi-regularly. Leveraging existing hotel memberships can really pay off in Korea, too.
Are there many options for chains like Marriott there?
Quite a few, actually. The source mentioned there are 34 Marriott Bonvoy properties across South Korea. So, decent coverage.
And what were the specific perks they got from their membership during this stay? It was a 9-night stay, wasn't it?
Yeah, 9 nights. They mentioned the usual stuff like potentially using points for free nights, though they paid a rate this time. But crucially, they got a room upgrade.
Nice.
And complimentary breakfast, which over 9 days really adds up.
How much value are we talking for that breakfast? Hotels often charge a lot for buffets.
They do. The source checked the price. It was listed at 36,000 Korean won per person.
Per day?
Per person, per day.
Yeah.
And their Bonvoy status gave them free breakfast for 2 people.
Wait, so that's 72,000 won saved every single day?
Potentially, yes. If 2 people ate breakfast there daily, that's nearly 70,000 won savings per day just on breakfast.
Over 9 days, that's huge. That's like getting several nights effectively much cheaper.
It really makes a difference to the overall cost. And they paid, I think the source converted it to about 161,000 won per night for the standard room they booked.
But they got upgraded.
Correct. Their status bumped them up to a premium room.
What was that like? Did they mention specifics?
They did. They highlighted a big window with really impressive views, mentioned seeing Dosendero, which is a major street, even glimpses of the Han River and Namsan Tower.
Oh, cool.
Also practical things like lots of mirrors and a bathroom area that was nicely laid out, spacious, with the toilet separate. Small comforts that matter on a longer stay.
Definitely. Any other useful hotel features they pointed out?
Yes, a really practical one. Affordable self-service laundry.
Always good on a longer trip.
Super useful. They said it was only 4,000, one for a wash cycle, another 4,000 for the dryer, and detergent was just 501. Way, way cheaper than using hotel laundry service.
Oh, yeah. That usually costs a fortune. Did they mention a gym or anything?
Yep. Mentioned a fitness center, too. Standard hotel stuff, but good to have.
And how is the location of this 4 Points? Convenient?
Sounded like it. They said it was close to a convenience store, always a plus in Korea.
Essential.
And really good for transport. Apgujeon Station on Line 3 was apparently just a 5-minute walk away, plus lots of bus routes nearby.
Sounds ideal for exploring. Any downsides they noted about the hotel itself?
Just one thing they flagged, though it didn't impact them directly, the parking fee was apparently quite steep.
How much?
15,000. One per day, even for hotel guests. But they didn't have a car, so it wasn't an issue for their stay.
Right. So overall, the takeaway is, if you're part of a hotel loyalty program like Marriott Bonvoy, definitely check their properties in Korea. The perks like breakfast and upgrades can offer really substantial value.
Absolutely. Don't overlook those existing memberships when planning your trip.
Okay, but even with the best planning, sometimes things go wrong, and the source shared a pretty stressful story about that.
Yes. The lost luggage incident. It's that moment your heart just sinks, isn't it?
Totally. What happened exactly? They left something in a taxi.
Yeah, they'd just gotten out of a cab they had booked, using the UT app, actually, and realized their carry-on bag was still in the trunk.
Oh, no. And it had valuables.
Big time. Computer, camera.
Yeah.
The important stuff.
Ugh. Nightmare fuel. So they used the UT app. Couldn't they just contact the driver through the app like you usually can?
Well, that's where they hit a snag. Because their YouTuber account was registered overseas, I think they said in the U.S.
Right.
The app's feature to directly call or message the driver wasn't working for them from Korea. They had the taxi's number plate info from the app booking, but no way to directly connect.
Wow. Okay, that's a really crucial detail. An overseas account might limit some in-app functions like direct driver contact. So they're stuck. How do they get the bag back?
This is where knowing about a local resource became absolutely critical. They were obviously panicking a bit,
I bet.
and they spoke to another taxi driver, just explaining the situation. And that driver suggested calling the 120 Daesun call center.
120. What's that?
It's basically Seoul's official city helpline for residents and visitors.
Okay. And they could help with a lost item in a taxi.
Amazingly, yes. They called 120, explained the problem. They mentioned they could do it in English, and gave them the taxi's vehicle number from the UT app.
And what did 120 do?
They acted as the go-between. The call center contacted the taxi company that operated that specific vehicle.
Okay.
Then, the source received a text message from 120 containing the direct phone number for that taxi company's lost and found or dispatch.
Brilliant. So they could then call the company directly.
Exactly. They called the number, connected with the driver eventually, and managed to arrange getting their luggage back. Disaster averted.
That is incredible. What a lifesaver that 120 number was. Just knowing it exists.
Absolutely. And the source pointed out, this call center isn't just for lost property emergencies.
Oh, yeah. What else do they do?
According to the notes, 120 Daesun Call Center offers foreign language support for all sorts of things, getting transportation info, asking about prices for services, general questions about Seoul City. It's a comprehensive info line.
Wow. That's unbelievably useful for a visitor. But I guess, like the source themselves admitted, most people probably don't know about it.
Exactly. They didn't know it existed until they desperately needed it. It highlights the value of knowing these specific local resources.
So 120, definitely a number to save in your phone if you're heading to Seoul, could genuinely rescue your trip from a bad situation.
For sure. A really key piece of practical advice from that experience.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've pulled out some really potent insights, I think.
Yeah, definitely practical stuff.
Knowing how that tax-free system works, both immediate and airport refunds, can genuinely put significant money back in your pocket.
And realizing the taxi apps like UT via the Uber app have improved so much and offer a reliable way to get around even if you struggle with, say, Kakao verification.
Plus, the reminder to leverage your existing hotel loyalty programs. That free breakfast example from Marriott Bonvoy was staggering in terms of daily savings.
And perhaps most crucially for peace of mind, knowing about that 120 Daesun call center as a lifeline for information, or when things go sideways, like losing something.
These aren't just theoretical tips. They come straight from someone's recent experience navigating these exact things. It shows how a little bit of specific knowledge makes a huge difference.
It really does. It can lead to a much smoother, less stressful, and definitely more cost-effective trip to Korea.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. In this age where we're drowning in information, services, apps, programs, how much does simply knowing the right specific thing, the right number to call, the right app to open, the right program to mention, fundamentally alter your experience and unlock value that maybe most people just walk right past?
It's a good question. Makes you realize that sometimes the most valuable travel tool isn't an app, but just knowing exactly which resource exists and how to access it when you need it.